Hello and welcome to Advent 2020 and to Virtual Junior Church for the 29th of November. Now your Advent calendars at home won't start until Tuesday, but Advent actually, strictly speaking, begins today. Over the next 4 weeks, the 4 weeks of Advent, we're going to think about what Advent means and how it helps us to look forward to Jesus coming. Each week I'm going to come into church to record these videos next to the Advent wreath, because that's what we're going to be thinking about, the 4 candles around the edge of the Advent wreath and what they mean. So I've lit the first candle because today is the first Sunday of Advent. And today we think about hope. Hope is about wanting something to happen. This year, more than ever, we have things to hope for. So let me start. What are you hoping for? Each week, over the next 4 weeks, we're going to read 2 Bible passages. First, we're going to read the same one every week, which is a passage from the book of Isaiah, which was written about 800 years before Jesus was born. Isaiah was a prophet who was a man who God spoke to, and then he spoke to other people and passed on God's messages. And then we're going to read a short passage which will be different each week from one of the Gospels, which is the bit of the Bible where we read about Jesus and his life on earth. So let me read our passage from Isaiah, and it comes from Isaiah chapter 9. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord will accomplish this. So remember, this was written hundreds of years before Jesus came, but yet Isaiah was describing what would happen when Jesus would be born. Our other passage comes from Matthew's Gospel, from chapter 8, and this is about a man who had immense hope in Jesus and what he could do for him. When Jesus came down from the hill, large crowds followed him. Then a man suffering from a dreaded skin disease came to him, knelt before him and said, "Sir, if you want to, you can make me clean." Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him. "I do want to," he answered. "Be clean." At once the man was healed of his disease. Then Jesus said to him, "Listen, don't tell anyone, but go straight to the priest and let him examine you. Then, in order to prove to everyone that you're cured, offer the sacrifice that Moses ordered." Now, the disease the man suffered from meant he wasn't allowed to live in society. He couldn't live with his family, he couldn't have a job, and he certainly couldn't go to the temple to worship God. He put all his hope in Jesus healing him, which of course he did. We may not have a disease that means we can't speak to other people and have to live out on the streets, but we still have hope in God and in all he can do for us. When we trust God with our lives, he promises he will give us the very best for us that there is. May not necessarily be what we think we want, but he promises it will be the best. Lots of people at the moment are, of course, hoping that coronavirus will end very soon, and we should be praying for that. We can trust God that even in these difficult times, he's working and he still loves us. So again, let me ask you, what are you hoping for? For our activity today, we're going to make a hope cross. There's a template on your email that you can print out, or you can draw your own because it's not too difficult. We're going to put the word hope going down and the word God going across to remind us that we have hope in God. And then you can decorate it beautifully. Much better job of it than I've done. And then if you cut it out like I have and keep it to remind you of the hope we have in God, even when it doesn't really feel like it. For our prayers, you're going to need an old but clean jar or a box and some paper. On the paper, write or draw things that you hope for. Try not to think just about stuff that you hope you might get for Christmas, but think about other bigger things that you hope for too. Put your hopes in the jar and ask your whole family to do the same. So this is a family activity to do together, but you only need one jar in your family. And then you can pray this prayer together. Lord, thank you that we can have hope in you. Thank you that the man in the Bible had enough hope and faith that he asked you to heal him. In our box, we have put our hopes and we give them to you now. Thank you that you always hear our prayers. Amen. And don't forget that this week on Tuesday, your kind deeds from last week's Advent calendar starts. So you've got a few to do this week starting on Tuesday. And to finish, I've got two pieces of really good news for you. Firstly, we're now allowed to reopen church for public worship next Sunday. This means that next Sunday we'll have junior church virtually like this, but also in real life at 10:30. And the other piece of good news is the following Sunday, on Sunday the 13th, we're holding Messy Church for the first time for a long, long time. And we're going to run it at 3:30 on Zoom. So it's going to be an online Messy Church. We'll be thinking again about hope and about the Christmas story. We've planned about 45 minutes of fun and craft as we think about Jesus' birth. If you want to join us, and I hope that you do, email Chris and he'll send you the Zoom link to join us on that Sunday, a week on Sunday, 2 weeks today at 3:30. Have a great week. Bye.